In this video, we will continue our discussion on general equilibrium analysis. We will learn about the competitive equilibrium in case of two-person, two-good model, and how market equilibrium conditions are being satisfied in this two-person, two-good model. In the earlier three videos, I have explained about the Pareto efficiency, how it is achieved, how to construct the Edgeworth box. So this is in continuation to all the three videos that I have made earlier. Okay. Now coming to this topic. So suppose let us say in a market prices are being given. Okay. Let us say we are being given the prices like this. P1 is the price of good 1 and P2 is the price of good 2. Okay, we are being given the prices. Let's also define the endowment for person A. Initial endowment of person A, let us say it is equal to uh, WA1, denotes the units of good 1 person A has initially, what we call the endowment, and WA2 denotes the units of good 2 person A as initially. Similarly, the endowment for person B will be WB is equal to WB1, units of good 1 person B has initially, and WB2. Okay, so given the initial endowments and market, the prices of good 1 and good 2. Okay, every consumer in this market will try to maximize his utility. Okay, so let us say for person A, we have person A, he will try to maximize his utility. Let us denote it like this. He will maximize the utility. Okay, so u subscript A denotes the utility maximization function of person A will be the function of x a1 x a2. Okay, so consumer other rather since we have only two persons, person A will maximize his utility function from this allocation. That means x1a denotes the units of good 1 person A. Okay, and units of good 2 person A has. Okay, or he consumes. So he will try to maximize his utility subject to the budget constraint. What will be the budget constraint in this case? Simply price of good 1 times units of good 1 person A for person A plus price of good 2 times units of good 2 person A has. Okay, and it should be equal to his income. And what is the income in this case? Since we are consuming two person, two good model having initial endowment of WB1 and WB2, and we assume that there is no outside income. Whatever the person has is his initial bundle. Okay, so this is the income of the person. And what will be then his total income? Simply price of good 1 times units of good 1, what we call initial endowment of for person A I am consuming, calculating. Okay, price of good 1 into initial endowment of good 1 for person A plus price of good 2 into initial endowments of good 2 person A has. Okay, so this will denote the value of A's endowment, what we call income. So our consumer will try to maximize his utility subject to this budget constraint. Okay, same will be true for person B. So let me write here, we have person B here. For person B, he will also try to maximize the utility. So UB denotes the utility function for person B, which will be the function of xb1 xb2. Okay, so how much he will utility function is a function of these two goods, and his budget constraint will be simple price of good 1 times units of good 1 that person B consumes plus price of good 2 times units of good 2 person B consumes, it should be equal to his income. And income is simply the price of good 1 times endowment of good 1 that person B has, plus price of good 2 times endowment of initial how many units the person initially has, that is called the endowment. Okay, so B2, this will be the value of the endowment for person A. This is the value of endowment for person A, and this is for person B. Okay, now what is the person A's demand? So what is the demand function for person A? So let's write it here. So demand, let me write it here like this: person A's demand of good x1 and x2 will be equal to x A1 means demand of good 1 by person A. It will be the function of prices P1 and P2. This is the demand function for person A for good 1. Similarly, XB, sorry, XA2 denotes the demand function of person A for good 2, which will be the function of P1 and P2 obviously. So these denote the demand function for person A for good 1 and 2. Okay, but you can see it here clearly. These are the gross demands. Gross demand. These are the gross demands. Why? Because person A has some units of x1 initially, okay, what we call the endowment here, and also person A has some units of a good A, sorry, good 2 initially. Okay, so this denotes the gross demand. Simple thing, let us say we have person A, he has 3 units of apple, 4 units of banana. Okay, so if we are talking about the gross demand, so initially he has 3 apples. Let us say his gross demand is equal to 5 units of apples. Okay, so if he has 5 units of apples, that means he has some initial endowments here. Okay, if I'm talking that person's A has 5 apples, as gross demand, his initial endowment is only 3A. Okay, so then this will denote the gross demand. Okay, it can it is actually uh, equal to the initial endowment of the person A and the demand he is making for a good 1 here. Okay, so with an example you will get it more clearly. So this denotes the gross demand for person A. Similarly, for person B, person B's demand will be equal to simply that is x B1, demand of good 1 by person B will be the function of prices P1 and P2. Similarly, x B2 denotes the demand function of good 2 by person A. It will be also the function of prices. Okay, and these denote our gross demand here also. Gross demand, in the sense that since person B has some units of x1 and x2 initially as endowment. Okay, so this is the total demand, what we call the gross demand. Now what will be the net demand or excess demand? In this case for person A, what will be the excess demand? So excess demand for good 1, let us denote it by, so excess demand for good 1 E, let's denote it by E A1, excess demand of good 1 by person A will be equal to gross demand minus the initial endowments of the person A. Simple thing. So this will be equal to, so what is gross demand? That is x a1, which is the function of p1 p2. So this denotes the gross demand minus the initial endowment. How many units of x1 the person initially has? That is wa1 wa1. Okay, so excess demand is simply equal to the gross demand minus the initial endowment. So this is for good 1. Similarly, excess demand for good 2 by person A will be equal to x a2, that means demand of good 2 by person A, which is the function of p1 and p2 minus the initial endowments of good 2 by person A, which is wa2. These denote the excess demands. And what about this person B? Simple, same thing. Excess demand for person B will be equal to, let us say, for excess demand by person B for good 1 will be equal to the gross demand, that is x b1 gross demand for good 1 by person A, which is the function of p1 p2 minus the initial endowments. Initially he has w1b, that means uh, initial endowment of good 1 by person B. Similarly, excess demand by person B for good 2 will be equal to gross demand of good 2 by person B. This P1 P2 minus the initial endowments of good 2 by person B, that is W2B. Okay, so these are the excess demands of good 1 and good 2 by person A and B. Now, what is the aggregate excess demand in this market? Okay, so let's calculate the aggregate excess demand. So let us calculate it here. So aggregate excess demand will be equal to, so aggregate excess demand I have denoted by Z. Aggregate excess demand of good 1 will be equal to, so P2 obviously. Now aggregate excess demand of good 1 will be equal to this excess demand of good 1 by person A, that is EA1, plus excess demand of good 1 by person B, which is EB1. So this is aggregate excess demand for good 1. By aggregate we mean total obviously. Similarly, Z2 denotes the aggregate excess demand of good 2 will be equal to the excess demand of good 2 by person A plus, sorry, let me write it here, first one. Similarly, excess demand of good 2 by person B. Okay, these are the aggregate excess demands. Okay, now let us try to explain how the equilibrium is being achieved in this two-person two good model. Okay, for that let's take an example. Let us say person A has initial endowments of good 1 and good 2 as, let us say he has 8 units of good 1, 2 units of good 2, and person B, WB, let us say he has 2 units of good 1 and 8 units of good 2. Okay, now given this information, let us construct our Edgeworth box. Okay, so let me construct the Edgeworth box like this. Okay, let us say this is the origin of person A, this is the origin of person B. I have explained in earlier videos how do we construct their Edgeworth box. Now total supply of good 2, that means total endowment of good 1 is 8 plus 2, which is 10. So here it will be 10, and let us write here, we are denoting good 1 on this axis and good 2 on this axis. Okay, good 2 on this axis. So total units of good 1 in this economy is 10, and total units of good 2 will be equal to 2 plus 8, which is also equal to 10. Okay, now let's take the initial endowment here. Let us say it lies somewhere here. Okay, let us say this is our, rather, let us take it here. So let us say initially we are at this point. At this point, what we mean person A has 8 units of good 1 and 2 units of good 2, and person B has 2 units of good 1. So if this is good 1, so it will be like this. It will denote here 2 units of good 1 and 8 units of good 2. Okay, so these two lines denote the good 2 and these two lines denote the good 1. Okay, now if you visualize the budget constraint clearly, you can see that our budget line should pass, okay, between the endowments of person A and person B, and it should also pass through the demand of good 1 and good 2. That means it should pass through the initial endowments and through initial allocations, this budget line. Okay, so let us draw this budget line then. So which color should I use? Let us take this. Okay, so let me draw it here like this. So this is passing through this initial endowment what we have. Now given this budget line, person A will try to reach highest possible indifference curve, and person B will also try to reach highest possible indifference curve. Okay, let us say person E is you know drawing his indifference curves, and he reached here. Okay, so this is the indifference curve of person A. Similarly, with given budget, person B will also try to reach to the highest possible indifference curve. Let us say he is drawing his indifference curve something like this. Let us say he reached here. Okay, now if person A is here, let us say at this point person B is demanding 3 units of good 1, and corresponding to this he is having demanding 6 units of good 2. What about person B? Because budget line and indifference curves are tangent, it will show us the units of good 1 and good 2 here. So units of good 2, let us say he is demanding is 7, and corresponding to this, let me show it here, we have, let us say, 4 units of good 1 that this person B is demanding here. Okay, simple thing, this was our initial allocation at this point, but each person will try to reach highest possible indifference curve, and this person will also try to reach highest possible indifference curve at these 2 points where that indifference curve and budget line are tangent. We just draw the demand of good 1 and good 2 for both the persons. Now here you can see one thing simply, and it is not a rocket science, you can grasp it clearly. Person A was initially having 8 units of good 1, but after reaching to the highest possible indifference curve, he is only demanding 3 units of good 1. Okay, so what is this deficit here? So he has initially 8 units of good 1, he is demanding only 3 units of good 1. That means he will sell how many units? 8 minus 3. He will sell 5 units of good 1. On this axis you can see initially person A has 2 units of good 2, but after reaching to the highest possible indifference curve, he is demanding 6 units of good 2. So this shows that he wants to buy how many units? 4 units of good 2. What about person B? Initially he was at this allocation at 8. Now he is only demanding 7. That means the deficit is here 1. That means uh, you know he is selling 1 unit. Okay, so let me write it here. He will sell 1 unit of good 2. And what about here? Initially he has 2 units, now he is demanding 4 units, so he will buy 2 units of good 1 here. Now you can see here supply of good 1 by person A. What is the supply of person A is supplying 5 units of good 1, but person B is only demanding 2 units of good 1. Okay, here you can simply see. Let me explain it again. Here person A is willing to sell 5 units. That means it is here supply of good 1 is 5, but demand of good 1 is only 2. Supply is greater than demand. Okay, so let me write it here. We have supply of good 1 by person A. Okay, supply of good 1 by person A, it is greater than the demand of you know mm, good 1 by person B. Okay, because he is willing to trade for you person 1, but person 2 is only demanding 2. Here we have excess supply. Okay, now what about these two cases? Person A, so it's getting actually easier, but in my mind it's getting complicated. Person A was initially having 2 units of good 2, but he is now demanding 6 units of good 2. Okay, so he wants to buy 4 units. Here we can see demand of good 2 by person A is 4, but supply of good 2 by person B is only 1. So demand is here greater than supply, that is supply of good 2 by person B. Okay, because demand is only person B is demanding 4 units, but supply is only 1 unit. Okay, obviously 4 is greater than 1. Now what happens when supply is greater than demand? If supply of good 1 is greater than demand of good 1. Obviously you have seen it a number of times. When supply is greater than demand, that means price should fall. So P1, that means price of good 1 will decrease obviously. And what about here when demand is greater than supply? Demand for good 2 is greater than the supply of good 2. When demand is greater, supply is less, so we will have increase in price. So price of good 2 will increase. Okay, so what ultimately happens? We have P1 is decreasing, P2 is increasing. Okay, if this is the case, that means P1 upon P2 will decrease obviously. Okay, if P1 is decreasing, P1 is increasing, so this P1 upon P2 will decrease. So let me show it here again. So let us say initially we have price ratio was obviously the slope of the budget line is the price ratio, so we were having P1 upon P2. Okay, initially we have P1 upon P2, this price ratio. Now if P1 is decreasing, P1 is decreasing, P2 is increasing, that means this whole stuff, let us denote it by P dash 1, P dash 2, this ratio will decrease. But what does this mean? This was the initial slope of this budget line. Now the slope of the budget line, that means this ratio has decreased, that means slope will obviously decrease. Simple thing. That means our new budget constraint, rather our new budget line will pass through the initial endowment, but it will be flatter than the initial budget line. Okay, so let us show it here. How can I show it here? So let me draw it something like this. Okay, so this is our new budget line. Okay, where we have P1 dash upon P2 dash is the slope. Okay, and uh, it here it is P1 upon P2. Now with this new flatter budget line, same process will apply. Person A will try to reach to the highest possible indifference curve. Person B will also try to reach highest possible indifference curve, and this process will continue till equilibrium is achieved. That means, so if I draw another indifference curve, it will get, lot messier. So with this new budget line, consumer A, rather person A will increase, rather will try to reach to the highest possible indifference curve, and person B will also try to reach highest possible indifference curve till, let us say, both indifference curves are tangent to each other. And let us say this is for person A, let us say this is for person B. Okay, so this process of price adjustment will continue till equilibrium is achieved. By equilibrium we mean that the slope of the budget line and the slope of both the indifference curves are equal. That simply means marginal rate of substitution for good 1 and 2 for person A is equal to P1 upon P2. Okay, and for good 2, sorry, for person B, marginal rate of substitution of good 1 and 2 for person B should be equal to P1 upon P2. Okay, that means at equilibrium marginal rate of substitution between good 1 and 2 for person A should be equal to marginal rate of substitution for good 1 2 for person B should be equal to the ratio of the prices, that means the slope of the budget line. Okay, so this competitive equilibrium will be also the Pareto efficient point. Why? I have told you earlier. At this point you can see, if we try to move anywhere else, we will be decreasing the utility of one person, okay, and increasing the utility of other person. Okay, so there is no improvement possible at this point. So the competitive equilibrium will be reached when the marginal rate of substitution between good 1 and 2 for person A and B is equal to the ratio of the budget line. Okay, so I hope I make myself clear. So at this point this adjustment will continue. I was saying that initially this was our budget line. Now we have seen here with this given example, our new budget line became this. So consumer, rather person B, will also try to reach highest possible indifference curve. Consumer A will try to reach highest possible indifference curve until they both are tangent to each other and to the budget line. And at this point we will not have any excess demand. Our excess demand at this point will be obviously zero. Okay, I hope I make myself clear in this video. Thank you.